Hi besties, welcome back to my channel, or hi, my name is Stacy if you're new here. So for today's video, I'm finally doing my Best of Beauty 2022, which is super exciting. Also, sorry I've been gone for like a month. I've just been really busy with the holidays and everything, and I just didn't make time to film a YouTube. But I'm back now and ready for 2023, so let's get into it. So first category is foundation, and I would say my number one foundation this year has been the Haus Labs TRICLONE Skin Tech Foundation. I have mine in the shade 070 Fair Neutral. Basically, ever since I bought this has become the number one. And I have tried to like rotate through my other ones, but then I always come back to this one. The main reason why I love it is because I feel like it's super not picky about your skin condition. If you have dry spots, acne, texture, I feel like it like glides over that really nicely. And I feel like this is also like one of the easiest blending foundations I've ever tried. It just like glides over the skin like butter. It's a medium coverage. I would say it's on the dewier side, but it still works on me even though I have oilier skin. I just have to make sure to set it, but I usually set my foundation anyways. So yeah, this has just become like the perfect everyday foundation. And I also feel like even if you generally don't like foundation, I feel like you might like this. Just because it's super lightweight, like it becomes one with the skin. It looks like real skin, but like glowier. I just really like it. Also, I feel like it's really similar to the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation, if you're like familiar with it. I really like this one too. And I don't know what it is, but I just feel like the Haus Labs kind of meshes with my skin better. Whereas the NARS one, I feel like is actually a little bit glowier and gets dewier faster, so it's not as long lasting as the Haus Labs. Anyways, that's kind of my comparison. I would say that's the most similar foundation to it. Moving on to a more like glam occasion kind of foundation, my favorite would be the Hourglass Ambient Soft Glow. This also came out this year. This one's just really nice. It's a medium to fuller coverage. It has like more of a matte finish, but the thing is, even though it's a matte finish, it still has like this soft matte quality, so it's not like a dry down, like suck your skin dry kind of matte. It's more of like a natural matte. I just feel like it's very good, reliable, more glam, full coverage foundation. Yeah, if I am going for a more matte makeup, this has been my go-to. So we have the Haus Labs for like more everyday, natural looking foundation, and then the Hourglass for more flawless, airbrushed, kind of matte look. Okay, next up we have concealer. So my number one concealer this year was the Hourglass VANISH concealer. I just like a really high coverage concealer because I like to conceal my under eyes and I want it to be like really bright. Like I don't like any of my under eye darkness peeking through. So this has been the one. It's like a pretty high coverage concealer. And it's supposed to be pretty matte. It's not like a drying, like paint-like kind of matte. It's like a soft kind of blurring matte and gives a lot of coverage. So that's what I'm looking for. Next up we have my go-to powder this year, which is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Powder in the shade Cupcake. Once I find like a basic that I like, I just stick to the same thing. And I don't really like need to try any other powders, to be honest, just because this is like a super good blurring powder. Obviously all powders are gonna like blur your skin texture, but I feel like this is like extra smoothing and blurring. And it's also like super matte, but without being like drying, at least on my skin. So yeah, this is just like my holy grail. I haven't really like used or switched to any other powders since using this one. Now onto more exciting things. So we have my eyeshadow palettes. This is probably like the hardest category for me, but definitely the first palette that came to mind was the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette, and she looks like this. So it did come out like later in the year, but I just knew ever since it launched that it was gonna be like at the top. And I also have like a dedicated review up on this, so you can check that out if you want more in-depth details. I think that this is the perfectly curated neutral palette, at least for my preferences. It also kind of reminds me of K-Beauty palettes just because it's like a lighter, more ethereal type of palette, but it is more pigmented than K-Beauty palettes. So if you've been wanting that type of look, but the K-Beauty palettes are too like light for you, this might be a good alternative. The glitter toppers in here, or like shimmer toppers, whatever you want to call them, are so insanely pretty. It's just the perfect neutral palette, and I would say it's my favorite neutral palette at Sephora right now. So yeah, I just like literally have no complaints about this. I also like that the shades are actually like true neutral tones. Like they don't lean too warm for a neutral palette, which is kind of hard to find, especially like on my fairer skin tone. It's just perfection. Can't say enough good things about this one. Okay, the next palette is even more expensive. It's the Pat McGrath Mothership 10 Moonlit Seduction palette. I also have a full review dedicated to this on my channel. Now this palette kind of surprised me because I actually think I like it even more after using it more compared to my first impressions. And I already really liked it in that video as well. It's just like surprisingly pretty. Like when you look at it, I feel like it doesn't look that interesting per se, but it's just really pretty. And it's actually the main palette I have on my eyes today, except minus the under eye glitter, that's a separate thing. But the main like eyeshadow look is using this palette, like using this silvery shade, and then I topped it with this and used these mattes. So yeah, it's just like the glitters in here, like these icy shades are so freaking pretty. This is just a beautiful cool tone palette. So if you like a cool tone glam look, this is your girl. If you like looks like that are kind of like these, but you can also go for a more everyday look. Like there's some more neutral, like actual neutral shades in here and like rosier shades. So like you can go in different directions with this. There's like this bluer shade. I just like that it's both fun and creative, but also like actually useful. If you love cool tones and you love like a more glam, sparkly look, this is the one. Okay, next up I wanted to choose two K-Beauty palettes. So for the more neutral option, I would say my favorite was the Dasique Autumn Breeze palette. She looks like this. This palette is just like a great everyday neutral palette, and Dasique is a relatively newer brand, but it's pretty popular in Korea, and they're really well known for their glitter toppers. So like these shades right here, they're kind of like these wet looking glistening shimmers. Like it's similar to Urban Decay Space Cowboy vibes. So if you like that type of wet looking shimmer, like you'll like a lot of the Dasique palettes. But yeah, my favorite is this Autumn Breeze one because it's a little bit more neutral toned. A lot of their other palettes are like warm toned or like pinky toned, which I love the pinks too, but this is like the best for like a neutral palette. Okay, next up we have my favorite slightly more colorful palette, which would be this Clio, Atelier, and Hannam palette. This came out in this spring, and it's just the perfect like pinky purple tone palette. It's just so stunning. Also, the Clio formula I would say is one of the best Korean eyeshadow formulas. Like the mattes are just super silky smooth. There's like chunky and finer glitters in here. I also really like that the top row is warmer and the bottom row is cooler. So you have like some variation within a pretty small palette. And yeah, it's just like really compact. Like the color story is beautiful. I fell in love with it ever since I saw it. This is my go-to for more like pinky purple kind of look. So yeah, that category was super hard because I love eyeshadow palettes and I like to rotate through them a lot. So if you thought I really liked one and I didn't mention it, I still probably like it. It's just that I feel like the ones I mentioned today like beat out the other ones ever so slightly. And the same applies to the next category, which is glitter toppers. So if you know me, you know I have like a glitter obsession. Like I literally collect glitter toppers. And I have a whole video up on the best glitter toppers in 2022. So if you want to see like more glitter toppers, you can find it in that video. But yeah, so for today, I tried to really narrow it down, but that was really hard. So number one, I would say, is the Fenty Beauty Diamond Bomb. Just because this is the most versatile glitter topper out there, I think. It's just like a clear white. It doesn't really have a base color, but that makes it the most versatile because you can just put it on top of literally any eyeshadow look just to add some more of that sparkle. It's perfect for Douyin eye looks. It's perfect for like K-pop idol looks. If you want a more like glam, glittery highlight moment, like since it's so big, you can use it like all over your face, all over your body. It's just super versatile and super pretty. That's why it's in the number one spot, and I feel like I used this one the most. The next one I'm mentioning shouldn't be a surprise at all, but it's the Urban Decay Space Cowboy. So she looks like this. And this is proof that I'm an OG fan because I still have the original packaging that came out like a few years ago. This has been popular for a really long time. But I feel like it became super viral this year, or like became re-viral this year. I would say this is the best one and done glitter topper. So like if you don't want to add anything else to your look, you just want to add some glitter and get out the door, I feel like this is the best one for that. Just because it has a more like nudie base color, like more skin tone color, and then it has like that silvery sparkly glitter, and it just looks super wet, like high shine, but still like very fine and diamond like shimmer. It's just the most like glistening glitter topper. Everyone loves her for a reason. Okay, but you know I couldn't stop there, so I had to pick two K-Beauty glitters, which I went for these glitter palettes by Rom&nd and Unleashia. I feel like these took the K-Beauty world by storm. Like these are just the best glitter palettes, and I use these like countless times for my makeup looks. They're just the best when you want to add like a little bit of glam. So these tend to be chunkier glitters because a lot of K-Beauty really likes chunky glitters because it has more of that like K-pop idol effect, and you can see it from farther away. And especially when you add it just to like the center, like as a little pop, it's like super pretty. This Rom&nd palette is so pretty. I like the colors in the Rom&nd better just because like as you can see there's more pinky purple tones, which is like what I tend to go for, and like cooler tones. So I do like the colors in this one better, but this one has chunkier glitters, so it's not as versatile per se. Whereas the Unleashia one has both chunky glitters and fine shimmers. So it has like more versatility in terms of the formulas in here. But I would say the shades are all kind of warm, so it doesn't have the most versatility in terms of like the shade selection. That's why I like both of these. And those are kind of the differences. So hopefully you can choose between like which one you would want more for your collection. Okay, so next up we have our blushes, which is my next favorite category. So first up for liquid or cream blush, I only have one because I really wanted to narrow it down to like what I use the most. And also, I didn't really use that many liquid or cream blushes this year, which is kind of shocking because I used to like be a cream blush stan. But I feel like this year I went more to the powder side. So my number one cream slash liquid blush is the Rare Beauty liquid blush in the shade Hope. So this has been my go-to, and it's just because this Hope shade is the prettiest shade. It's supposed to be like a nude mauve or something, but I wouldn't really call it mauve. It's more like a nude rose. Like it's more neutral than mauve would imply. I also really like to use this as a base for my powder blushes. Like when you layer the liquid and the powder, it just like makes it last way longer. And yeah, I also rotate my blushes a lot, so it was really hard to pick, but I would have to say that this takes the number one spot. So next up for powder blush, this one isn't gonna come as a surprise to like anybody who has watched my channel for like a little bit. My number one powder blush is the Pat McGrath powder blush, or I think they're called Divine Blush. So this one actually came out this year, which is Venusian Sunrise, and I love purple blush, so you know that this was gonna be on the list. This is just the perfect perfect like cool toned pinky blush. It looks purple and looks kind of crazy in the pan, but it just ends up looking like a cool pink, you know? I would have to say the original blush line is still my favorite, so I've been really liking the shade Divine Rose. It's also very similar to this Rare Beauty Hope shade. Okay, next up, this kind of surprised me because I don't really buy from this brand that much, which is the KYLIE blush. I never tried out KYLIE Cosmetics before this year, but I bought a few of her pink blushes because she's just like known for pink blush, and this shade just like takes the cake. Okay, this is the shade Winter Kissed, which is another super popular shade, but like, can you see why? It's like this pinky, almost lilac type of shade. It's like a very cool tone pink, but it's not quite purple yet, but it's just like the perfect winter kissed kind of flush. It kind of reminds me of the Dior pink blush, if you're familiar with it, but it's less neon, so it's a little bit more pastel than that. That's why I actually like this one a little bit more, I think. It just kind of meshes with my skin tone better. But I also like that this is actually pretty pigmented for like a pastel blush. So anyways, it's just like a perfect like pastel cool tone pink. The formula is actually really nice too. It's like pretty finely milled. Okay, next up we have contour slash bronzer. If you've been watching me, you probably know that I don't really like bronze that much. I pretty much only contour, but I kind of like bronzer. So my go-to is this Fenty matchsticks in the shade Amber. This is the color. So it's actually quite gray, but it's not that gray, I feel like. I don't know, like I feel like I used to think it was like super gray. It's more like a cool brown. And especially if you have like a fair skin tone, it definitely just turns more of like a cool or like even neutral brown. Like it's a pretty good bronzer shade, I would say. I've never found a better shade for my skin for contour. And for a powder option, I really like this PERIPERA Ink V shading. And this is in the shade 03 Hazel Gray. I've just learned throughout the years that I really need a gray contour color because on my skin tone, it just pulls warmer and it becomes neutral. So yeah, like this is like the perfect contour color as you can see. And this is like very natural. So it's like very subtle. It's good to layer with this one. Or if you just want like a very subtle kind of shading effect. It's definitely more on the buildable side, but I like that because it's hard for it to get muddy. Okay, next up we have highlighter. So I'm not the biggest fan of highlighter. I tend to not like buy the new highlighter launches, generally speaking, unless I'm like super intrigued, because I just feel like all highlighters kind of look the same. But anyways, my favorite highlighter this year has been the Charlotte Tilbury Beauty Light Wand, and specifically in the shade Pillow Talk. I have to say, these Beauty Light Wands are super pretty. I've been loving them in general. It gives you like this glass skin effect. Like I don't even know how to describe, but it's like very bright, but yet still blends in with your skin. Like it doesn't look like a stripe on the skin, and it just gives you that like all over glass skin look. And this Pillow Talk shade is like a rose gold kind of color, so it's really pretty. And it's also great for oily skin because it's pretty long lasting, for a cream because it sets down. If I did go for highlighter this year, I went for this one. Okay, next up we have a little bit more boring categories. So for brows, a lot of people actually ask me like what I use for my brows, which I was kind of surprised by. For most of the year, I used this Patrick Ta brow pencil, which also came out this year. And this is in the shade light brown. As you can see, I actually used up all of it, so I haven't been using it like the past month or so because I used it all up. But anyways, this was my number one. But I guess my number two, which is the one I've been using nowadays, is the ABH Brow Wiz. It's a classic. Like what can I say? This is in the shade Taupe. This pencil is also really tiny. I definitely prefer like the tinier brow pencils just because like you can really get really accurate and draw like strokes with it. So yeah, I've just been liking these two. I feel like they're the perfect like stiffness and like the perfect amount of pigment, and I really like the shades as well. I feel like it's a good shade for my hair color. And then my go-to brow gel, which is like to get that kind of really defined brow hair look, is the Patrick Ta Brow Lamination Gel. This one I'm also nearing the end, like there's barely any product left in here. But yeah, that's just what I've been using because I really have to gel like the ends, the tails of my brows, because otherwise they kind of like go down. So I want to like gel them up. So I always use a brow gel, and this is just the one I've been using, and it definitely like stays put all day. The only thing is there's kind of a learning curve with this because you have to work pretty fast or else it kind of like dries and gets like weirdly clumpy. So yeah, there is a little bit of a learning curve, but I really like how it makes my brows look. Okay, next up for eyes, we have mascara. So these I would say are my favorite this year. My favorite discovery was the AMTS Kiss Your Eyes mascara. So this you can buy on Amazon, which I'll link down below. This is a Korean brand, and it's just like a really good everyday mascara. As you can see, I really like the wand because it has that like C shape. It really like pushes up your lashes. It's waterproof, so your lashes won't droop down. The curl lasts all day. I just especially like this because I feel like it really separates but also volumizes my lashes, because I feel like a lot of Asian ones don't volumize my lashes enough. So my favorite Western mascara I would say is the L'Oreal Voluminous Lash Paradise, and this is the waterproof version. I have to always wear waterproof mascara, like that's just how it has to be because otherwise my lashes droop down. But yeah, this one is the one I'm wearing today, and you can see it just like really volumizes my lashes. Like they're like, I just like my lashes to really be a presence, especially because I don't like wearing falsies that much. Okay, now we're finally moving on to lips. So my number one lip liner of this year, I think anyone who watches my channel can guess, is the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Lip Liner. Like look how short she's gotten. So you know that I use it all the time. Okay, I just sharpened it so you can see better, but this is just the perfect kind of neutral to cooler tone nude. It's just a really great lip contouring shade, but without being like literally gray. Like it still adds some rosiness, but it's like on the cooler side, and it makes my lips look like twice their size. Okay, next up for the matte lip. So I would say my favorite matte lip this year was the M Cosmetics Soft Spoken Lip Cream, and my favorite shade is this one in the shade Petal, which is more of like a pinky shade. The only thing is none of their shades lean super cool, so I would love to see some more cool tones. But they only came out with like 5 shades, I think, which I have all of them. Anyways, I love this formula because it's like that K-Beauty like matte lip tint kind of formula, where it's kind of like a moussey velvet formula that like glides over the lips, and it's completely matte, but it feels like hydrating and almost moisturizing. I'm pretty sure it has silicone in it, but it's not too silicone-y. I've tried a lot of like matte lip tints that are like way too silicone-y feeling, or they kind of just like slip and slide around or like sit on top of the lips and don't really like sink in. But I feel like this one does a pretty good job of like becoming one with the lips. And if you like wait for it to like set a little bit, it definitely becomes more transfer resistant. It's not like 100% transfer proof, but I do like that it's like relatively transfer resistant. There's a lot of similar lip formulas, but I just feel like this one is the best one because it's the most hydrating, but it's still matte, and then it kind of like blurs over my lip lines, but it's just like super comfortable, and it's like relatively transfer resistant, which I feel like a lot of the other matte lip creams don't quite like check off all of those boxes for me. Okay, next up for glossy lip tints. I have to say my #1 favorite this year has been the PERIPERA Ink Mood Glowy Tints. So they look like this. And again, this is a K-Beauty brand, so I definitely tend to like Korean lip products more than like Western, just because they are cheaper and I feel like they're better formulas. So like, why would I not go for Korean lip tints? This one is just a super beautiful glossy lip tint. Glossy lip tints are my favorite category ever of lip products because they kind of look like a gloss, but they have a little bit more lasting power because they do have a little bit of a stain, and they kind of like have a little bit of a setting quality. So they definitely like last longer than a true gloss would. And I just feel like they just feel more comfortable on the lips compared to like a true gloss. And these PERIPERA Ink Mood Glowy Tints, they're very hydrating, and I really like that it doesn't matter like what condition my lips are in before I put these on, because I tend to get really dry lips like really easily. So these just like cover over that super nicely. I don't really have to worry about what my lips look like before. I mean, obviously it's ideal if you like prep your lips before lip color, but these ones are just like, you don't even have to worry about that, you know? And I feel like they actually hydrate throughout the day. Like they don't get weird on the inner part of my lips. The only thing is it's not the longest lasting glossy lip tint. Like it's not true stain, although it does have some staining quality to it. But yeah, I still love my Rom&nd Juicy Lasting Tints. But I feel like this is a little bit more hydrating, and it's actually less sticky. Like the Rom&nd one has a little bit of a tack to it, like if you press your lips together, but this one doesn't have any of that. It just feels like a hydrating serum on your lips. Like it's just beautiful, and it has like a really nice glossy finish to it. Yeah, and my favorite shades are #4 and #10. This one is #10, which is like a newer shade. But yeah, also I recommend #3. That's a great neutral shade for like everyone. They also have warm tones. Like the ones I mentioned are more cooler pinks, but they also have warm tones, so I feel like everyone can find a color that they like. But definitely check this out, and it's like less than $10. Okay, so next up for a true gloss, I have to say, my #1 has been the Tower 28 Lip Jelly in the shade Pistachio. This is what I have on my lips right now. I'm gonna reapply it. But I just like that it's a perfect nude pink shade, but it still adds that extra touch of rosiness that I need for my lips because my natural lips are pretty colorless. So generally speaking, I don't like wearing like just a gloss by itself, especially if it's super translucent. My lips kind of look like unalive kind of lips. So I always need to like a lip color that will add like at least a hint of color. So this is like the perfect My Lips But Better shade for me. And it adds just like the perfect amount of color without drawing away from like my glam eyeshadow look or anything like that. It's the perfect nudie pink lip gloss for me. And I've already gone through a tube of this. This is my second tube. I'm already like getting pretty low on it. And the formula is super nice, non-sticky. It's one of my favorite like lip gloss formulas ever because it's just non-sticky, hydrating, super shiny as you can see. And it kind of like blurs over lip lines, I feel like. Has the perfect amount of pigment. It's just, I have no complaints, okay? And I use this as a lip treatment as well before I put on my lip color usually. Like I'll just put this on before I start putting on my makeup. When it's time to apply the lips, I'll like gently exfoliate so it gets rid of all the dead skin cells, and then I'm ready for a lip application. So yeah, it's just like the perfect one and done lip gloss. I just love it so much. Specifically, the shade Pistachio is the one. Okay, we're nearing the end. For finishing touches, my favorite is this Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. And as you can see, she's getting down to her last few drops. And this is already my second bottle that I've gone through. I already have a backup ready to go. So you know, like this is my ride or die. Like this just sets your makeup in place. Like once you spray it with this, she's not gonna go anywhere. Like nothing happens to my makeup, okay? And I've already been wearing this makeup for like 6 hours and I would say it looks pretty fresh. Like partly I have to thank this guy. Okay, lastly I just want to briefly mention the brushes that I use. A lot of people always comment on my videos asking what brushes I use, and it's always the same brushes, guys. So it's these Morphe x Ariel brushes. Like Morphe did a collab with Makeup by Ariel, and he's like a celebrity makeup artist. He does Kylie Jenner's makeup and other people like that. So anyways, he came out with this brush set. There's more brushes, but I just have them laying around. But these have been my go-to brushes ever since I bought this. They're just super soft and high quality, I feel like, for a good price. Like it's definitely a lower price point for brushes. I just don't really want to spend too much money on brushes in general. So like once I found this good solid brush set that has like basically everything I need, I just like haven't been looking for new brushes basically. So yeah, if you see these brushes that have this like kind of grayish beige with like the brown bristles, it's the Makeup by Ariel brush set. They're pretty much the only brushes I use. I do occasionally use other ones like from ColourPop or just like other ones I've collected over the years that are kind of like random, or even like free brushes. I use a lot of like freebie brushes or like gift with purchase brushes. This is like the main brush set that I use. I use the face and eye set. But yeah, they're just like great quality, like really soft bristles, which I'm pretty sensitive to, and great shapes. Once I started using those, I haven't looked back. That's actually it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed and found it helpful. But anyways, this was a great year for beauty. Definitely make sure to comment down below what some of your favorites were, because I would love to know. I'm definitely going to be back to posting on YouTube again, so don't worry, stay tuned for more content. Thank you guys so much for watching and sticking with me through another year. I hope 2023 treats us even better than 2022, and I hope you have the best year yet. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!